Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 7 o'clock. You know what that means. It means it's time for Chiefs Kingdom Live, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Glad everybody could join us. Real quick, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Help you guys out here. Grow the channel. We're already in the works thinking about our next giveaway because the previous two were so much fun. And it seemed like, it just went so well that we figured why not do another one. So get subscribed, go to our social media platforms. We're not quite sure what the benchmark's gonna be for the next giveaway, but at Chiefs Kingdom Live on Twitter, at Facebook, Instagram, you can find us on all the social medias. Fellas, Chiefs are 9-2. How are we feeling?
Pretty fucking good.
Yeah, man. Had my arms back all week. Just feeling great.
Yeah, we'll get into the game against the Rams. Kind of like a ho-hum 2-touchdown win. When you're that good, that's just I don't. We've talked about that. Like, are we just spoiled or what? It's like sometimes I feel like I should be happier about that win, but we'll talk about that when we get to the Rams. Then we'll talk about the Bengals game. But first, we got some Chiefs news and notes here to go through. First and foremost, Chiefs Kingdom, Kansas City has a new prince, Bronze Mahomes, Patrick LaVon Mahomes III. Kansas City, like Patrick Mahomes is the king of Kansas City, and he's the king of Chiefs Kingdom. So
the prince is born.
Right. We got to do everything we can to protect that kid because if you're doing the math right, Patrick Mahomes maybe got another 12 or 13 years, and then that'd be him coming into college. And,
13?
One can dream, right? One can dream. But congratulations to Patrick and Brittany and the Mahomes family. They're good people, salt of the earth people. You can tell they're never in any trouble. Trolls and people on Twitter that are jealous hate on them, but from everything you can tell, it's just like a really, really good family. It's good to see young people getting their life started, having the success he's had in football, having success in the family life there off the field. So congratulations. Just real quick, you guys, is he a football player when he gets older, Bo?
Just real quick, catch me if I'm wrong. You mentioned something about this, I think, in our text, but his daughter's name's Sterling, right?
Right.
His dog's names are Steel and Silver. Now we got Bronze.
Yeah.
Maybe he might be a metallurgist after this. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's got the metal theme. Nick, what do you think? You think he follows in Dad's footsteps someday and plays NFL football?
I mean, it would be the third generation of Mahomes that is a professional player, athlete. Right. So, it's hard to say. He could. There's a few different sports that he could end up playing. Right? He could play baseball. He could play football. But yeah, I mean, I hope he plays. I hope he is just as good as his dad, and I hope he plays for the Chiefs. That would be the best story ever, right?
Right. Yeah. Exciting for them. Exciting for Chiefs Kingdom. So, congratulations again, Mahomes family. I wonder how many more kids they'll have. You never know. Unlike most of us saps, he could afford to have more than 2 or 3 kids. So, we'll see what happens there.
And there's a whole periodic table's worth of elements out there for him.
Yeah, the names are endless, right? So platinum maybe is next. I don't know what.
So have to start making some new elements
at
a certain point, right?
Yeah, you might have to. So, and you can start throwing the alloys in there, right?
Mahomium,
dude.
There you go.
If we've got any scientists watching the show, get on Mahomium. Dude, that's a good T-shirt idea. We might have just stumbled onto something there. So we'll have to throw that in the crock pot, back burner that idea. But real quick too, Andy Reid becomes the winningest coach, right? In Arrowhead history. The dude he's become the most winningest coach of this and that, left and right. He passed Marty, right, for most wins. So,
Yep.
And third place was Dick Vermeil, and he was way behind Marty. So that's exciting.
It's so exciting. Remember right as he was coming in or before he came in, what we were dealing with? We had like Romeo Crennel trying to do coordinator and head coach duties and play calling duties. And it was such a shit show. And I remember when they announced him as head coach, it was just like this huge breath of fresh air, right? Just like finally, like a huge weight had been lifted off the Chiefs' shoulders. Just like, okay, now we got something here. And man, has it been a difference maker ever since.
Yeah,
that was the team that went, I think, 2-14, and we ended up having, I think, like 6 or 9 Pro Bowlers on that team, and then the next year is just like, whoop, we got Andy Reid, and it's like, whoop, we got Alex Smith, and then we started out like 9-0.
Yep.
It was just like instant turnaround, instant legitimate organization, right? Just it was it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it, because those were some rough times, man. When we had Romeo Crennel, and I mean, just some bad things happened, with the team that we won't get into, but just like losses. I remember I was living in Colorado, and I went down to like Buffalo Wild Wings to watch one of the games, and like we were just instantly getting blown out. And there's another Chiefs fan that was there, and he just like looked over at me. He's like, "Man, they really make it hard to watch, don't they?" And I was just like, "Dude, it's just like I just spent like $30 on wings and beer to watch this shit." You know what I mean? Yeah. So look how far we've come, man. Look how far we've come.
Yeah, no, they definitely were hard to watch. It was one of those, like, you kind of had them on in the background. I still watched every game, but I remember Andy Reid when he came here his first season. We were out in Estes Park, Colorado, and yeah, John C's back in the house. John, did you watch last week's episode?
Yeah, did you watch, John?
We're talking to you, John C. Did you watch last week's episode? But anyway, back to my story. And some family of ours were visiting Nick and them. They actually lived in Colorado at the time. And we were all at Estes Park, and we went to this little sports bar and grill there to watch the game against the Jaguars week 1. And they just kicked the Jaguars' ass. And I just remember thinking, like, dude, this is so refreshing. Like, this is so much better instantly.
Competent quarterback play. We had a great defense. John is he's saying no, he did not watch last week.
Who wants to tell John C?
Yeah, Thanksgiving week, and we did the show early.
Only one he's missed in 5 weeks. That's what I like to hear.
Who wants to tell
him? Ooh. Should we tell him? Should we make him wait? Maybe we tell him at the end of the show.
We did go a little bit. We did go, like Bo and Nick just mentioned earlier. We did go an hour early and had an abbreviated show. So just giving you a hard time, John, about missing the show. But when do you guys got to tell him, man?
No, I don't know if John remembers. We had a little Travis Kelce giveaway, and your name happened to come up for our drawing, and you won it, sir.
Congratulations, John C. You won.
John C. was the winner of the Travis Kelce prize pack, man. We need to throw like the Chiefs Kingdom Live email address or something in there so John can email us and we can get his contact info and get him his swag. So congrats, man. Like,
I'm jealous. It's a cool pack, man.
You don't need
me a picture wearing those.
It's all good. It is all good. We really appreciate you coming in. We see you in there. And it's like I said, really says more our fault. We ended up going early last minute and the holiday thing going on. So, but
since you weren't there, man, we had to call somebody else's name and
don't do that to him.
Don't do that to our man John C.
No, man, we love you. Thank you for your support, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. We appreciate it. We definitely see you in there every week. And when your name popped up, I was stoked. I was like, yeah, it's one of our loyal fans got the prize pack. So we'll get in contact with you. Like I said, we'll throw the Chiefs Kingdom Live email address or something in there, and that way you can get some info. And we'll get your prize on the way to you. But yeah, just going back to when Andy Reid first came here, and we watched that Jaguars game in Colorado, and it looked night and day, right? I mean, we were picking first in the draft. Like they had the number 1 pick. The Leon Sandcastle was like, oh, it's kind of funny because we suck, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so how far we've come from those days, and Big Red just instantly turned the ship, got it ruddered back in the right direction. Been in the playoffs every year except for the 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Since he got here, working on 7 straight division championship, all these playoff appearances, AFC championship games. Patrick Mahomes is a big part of that, obviously. But it all started when Clark Hunt refused to let Andy Reid get on the plane to go talk to the Arizona Cardinals. I remember that story. He went and met with him, and he was scheduled to go meet with the Cardinals after meeting with Clark Hunt. And Clark was like, let's get this done. What do we got to do? We got it done. And
got him.
That has turned to be like one of the like seminal moments in the history of this franchise, really. I mean, the he's rewriting all the records for head coach in Chiefs history, and has just really, really gotten us to a great place as a Chiefs fan. So
yeah, and of course this week with him, you know, surpassing this monument or this mark, there was a bunch of Andy Reid stuff going around on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw all this stuff, but they had all of like Andy Reid's kind of like iconic moments in the Chiefs Hall of Fame in the new stadium. I haven't been there since they redid it, but like I guess they have his face shield there, right? His play sheet and the headset and everything. It's so great, dude. I love it. I'm so thankful he's our coach.
Yeah, for sure. We get a little frustrated with the play calling sometimes, and his, you know, kind of like goofy clock management gas that he has, but nobody's perfect. Right now, I mean, Bill Belichick's not looking quite like the genius without Tom Brady, right? I mean, right now,
yeah.
I mean, if he's not the best coach in the NFL, he's right up there, top 2. You know, I mean, can't think of any other coaches out right now that you'd rather have. I mean, I know we have all these young geniuses like Brandon Staley with the Chargers and some of these other guys that remember that we were talking like a couple of years ago, last season and going into this season. It's like, is Brandon Staley the best coach in the AFC West? And all this nonsense because they take these stupid gambles and they're these analytics guys. Sean McVay, you can say he won a Super Bowl last year, but look at what they're doing now after winning their Super Bowl. They're in shambles, which we saw evidence of last Sunday when they played the Chiefs. So, yeah, kudos to Big Red. Congratulations on a big milestone. Need to get that second Super Bowl ring, though, man. And the team's
it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's going to happen. So,
happen this year too.
Another piece of Chiefs news here is the Chiefs signed Melvin Gordon, running back. John talking about being out there in donkey country, representing. They got rid of Melvin Gordon.
Just saw that. Nice.
The Chiefs snatch up Melvin Gordon, sign him to the practice squad. I've got a poll. If you follow us on Twitter, you can go vote in right now. I was just curious what Chiefs Kingdom thought about whether or not he actually plays in a game for the Chiefs. They kind of got a log jam at running back. I know Clyde got hurt, and we'll talk about that here when we get to the Rams game. But, you know, they've got Jarrett McKinnon. They've got Isaiah Pacheco, who's looking like he's taking over the starting role there. Clyde's hurt, but they got Rojo. What are your thoughts about the Mel? Is this a troll of the Broncos to where maybe they just get him suited up to rub it in their face the last week of the year? I don't really quite know what to think of this signing with all of the running backs that we have already on the roster. Bo, what do you think of Melvin Gordon?
You know, it's one of those 50-50s for me. Like in Veach we trust, right? Like I love some of the moves he's made. He's brought on kind of veterans before and they've made a difference immediately. Melvin Gordon isn't that type of veteran to me, though. I've never been a fan of the guy. I mean, when he runs good, he runs well, but he's kind of notorious for fumbling the ball.
Wasn't he the one that fumbled the ball that got returned by I think
last year when they were
driving to lose the game?
The Melvin on Melvin crime. Melvin Ingram stripped Melvin Gordon the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And
but you know, you alluded to it, like our running back position has just been a weird one all year too, right? Like we're just trying out as many guys as we can. And I feel like this last game against the Rams, like we definitely saw them trying out all the running backs. So I saw Rojo in there way more than I was expecting to see him. I think he got like 7 or 8 carries, let alone like I think like 12 snaps or something like that. I was expecting like 5 snaps, let alone maybe 1 or 2 carries. But then they actually threw it to him. Same thing with like McKinnon. I mean, they were really testing out the waters with our running back core. I felt like this past game. So maybe they didn't see something or they didn't see something they liked. I don't know. Maybe they're just, you know, trying to get a fire under all these guys to get somebody to actually be just go over that edge of being mediocre to being an all-star running back. Again, I don't know. I'm not too thrilled about it. I've never really been a fan of the guy, but who knows, man? Like, we've seen veterans come in and immediately change the way this team plays. So what about you, Nick? What do you think?
I mean, I think that we need all the help we can get at running back. I know that Pacheco's doing well. I liked, Rojo looked like he was running angry too, like he was trying to justify his roster spot with the opportunities that he got against the Rams. But it's still not our strength, right? It's still our weaker position that we have on the offense. So, you know, any kind of spark we could get. I mean, even if it's just a veteran guy on the practice squad. I don't think he's gonna be some big star for the Chiefs, but you know, it's getting later in the year, right? McKinnon has had injury issues in the past. Rojo's a little older, right? CEH is already hurt. It's probably just trying to, fill up the coffers, waiting for the postseason to make sure that, you know, we got a quality guy that we can sign to the practice squad. Let's get him, right?
Yeah, maybe. Go ahead, Bo.
Oh, I'm fairly certain McKinnon's hurt this week too. I don't think he practiced today. I think he has a hamstring issue as well.
Legs are tired.
Yeah, legs are tired. No, he got a little nicked up, I think, in that game, but I don't think it was anything serious. Long term. So, what's that, Nick?
I said, why has he got to be nicked up? Is that like a shot at me personally?
No, not at all.
Pun intended, bro.
Not at all.
All right.
To me, this feels kind of like the LaShawn McCoy thing to me.
Yeah.
The guy that is going to come in, kick the tires, see what's left. Not that Melvin Gordon was ever as good as LaShawn McCoy at any point in his career, but I don't know. Melvin Gordon had a couple of decent, pretty good years with the Chargers, and he got older. It's just a running back, dude. That burnout in that position is so quick.
Yeah, dude.
Their career is over in a flash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you play 6 years running back in the NFL. You did a good job. That's a good career for that position.
Dude, if you're mildly good at that position, they will run you into the dirt too. So 6 years is very little tread left on those tires.
So I like I said, I've got a poll up on the Twitter account if you want to get in whether or not you think he actually suits up in a game. Myself, aside from a situation where you have a rash of injuries or maybe you get to the last game of the season and you don't need to play for anything and you just need a body to get in there, maybe see him in a game. But I don't anticipate seeing him real soon out there on the field. I mean, look how long it took Rojo to get carries, right?
Right.
So, but maybe it's like you're just keeping him away from the competition move too. Maybe you sign him to the practice squad because you know some of the other competition in the AFC is struggling at running back. The Miami Dolphins, Raheem Mostert is hurt now, which if you play fantasy football, that should not be a surprise to you at all that Raheem Mostert is injured again.
Yeah.
I know the Bills went and got Naeem Hines, but there's some teams that could maybe use some running back depth, and so maybe they just signed him just to keep him away from those guys. Who knows? But time will tell on the Melvin Gordon experience in Kansas City. But as of now, he's on the practice squad. Is there any other news, notes, things you guys want to talk about before we get into this game against the Rams?
No, just going to Melvin Gordon. I think we might see him a little sooner than what you're saying, just for the fact that CEH is on IR. Obviously, McKinnon's not practicing this week, so we got Pacheco and Rojo, right? So I mean, I think we just need to, like you're saying, fill the position. Whether or not he gets out there and plays snaps is another thing, but I think we actually see him suit up and be one of those alternate players that don't really make the field.
Right. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So I'm leery of any guy that just got cut because he had fumbleitis. We don't need that at all. But talked about the game against the Rams. Chiefs pull out the 26-10 victory. It was, like I said at the top of the show, kind of a ho-hum 16-point win at home. The Rams, their defense is still pretty stout. They've still got Aaron Donald. I know Jalen Ramsey got cooked by Travis Kelce on that one route, but he's still one of the better cornerbacks in the league. They got Bobby Wagner at safety. They've still got some juice on defense. And the Chiefs, they moved the ball well that entire game. I mean, they racked up over 400 yards and like 30 first downs or something. They struggled in the red zone, which we'll talk about when we break down more in depth. But Bo, real quick, I want to get your guys just 30,000 foot view of the game against the Rams before we start breaking down individual performances, plays, defense, special teams, whatever. How did you feel watching that game? I was like a little aggravated and frustrated, even though the Chiefs were never really in danger of giving up the lead after they got there.
I think it was 20-3 at the end of the third quarter, and you're like, man, I'm just so frustrated. And I'm like, it's all right, man. I think we got this one. Yeah. But no, I know what you're saying, dude. It looked like a scrimmage match to me, and like I can't help but feel like I kind of alluded to it earlier that I feel like the coaches were playing it as such, man. I think we were trying out some stuff, trying to see our running backs, especially. I saw them get a lot more carries than usual. I don't think that was them trying to establish a run game by any means. I think it was just them trying personnel out, see what they have. I think they want an a solid RB1, and they're tired of this weird 3-man roster that we have, our 3-man rotation that we have. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the first drive looked amazing. Kelce and Mahomes, they do what they do. That connection is the best in the NFL. Argue against me, try to. I mean, like, the proof is in the pudding right there. And then I think after that, that first drive, Kelce, puts it away. I think they're just like, all right, this is going to be what we thought it was going to be. Let's kind of take the foot off the gas. Let's let some guys try out some things that we haven't done before. And I think that's what we saw. What about you, Nick?
I agree with everything that you're saying. It was frustrating to watch because I felt like they didn't finish drives. We had a bad pick in the end zone. Mahomes even said it's a bad pick. So, it's just like I had to look back, and because we had our text thread going, and Bo was just kind of like, guys, you're just kind of like digging on the team, and like they're winning by double digits, and it felt like a game where, like, if we played like that against a better opponent, like it would have been an ugly game for us, right? It felt like the Colts game, and they were basically like we were playing a team that had like no offense. So it was just a little it was a little aggravating at times, right? MVS like can't figure out if he's got hands or if he doesn't have good hands. He seems like he makes some hard catches, and then like he like drops, and he drops a lot on third down, it seems. So we're still trying to figure out, that guy, Scott will tell you he's already got him figured out, and that he sucks, which, I mean, I can't disagree with that at this point, but it felt like a game full of mistakes, right? And fortunately for the Chiefs, like, they can have a game full of mistakes and then against a lesser opponent still win by 16 points. They can cover a 15 and a half point spread. So you have to look back and go, well, anytime you beat a team by more than 2 touchdowns in the NFL, that's a good day, right? But I think that if you were to even talk to the players after that game, they probably felt like they didn't put their best effort out there either. So that's kind of where I was at with it. But I totally agree with you where it felt like they were kind of maybe trying some things out, especially trying some people out. You saw, Jody Fortson get more looks in that game. Noah Gray, right? So it was good to see them try some things out. I think we had just like a straight up, run play between the tackles for a touchdown, which I don't remember the last time I saw one of those without some kind of trickery involved. So that was great to see. Us just, pounded up the middle for a touchdown. I think that we're going to need that. And then another huge takeaway I had was Pacheco is one tough dude. He got walloped a few times, like totally walloped, and he just got popped right back up. Once was out of bounds, and then once was, he just took like a shoulder right to the face, and he just popped up, man. So he seems like he's a baller, and I like to see him get some more carries and see what he can do, as he gets a little more comfortable in the offense. So
yeah.
Bobby Wagner laid the wood to Isaiah Pacheco on that one hit. Man, he folded over backwards and
Dude, I love that kid though, because he popped right back up
He did.
and ran over back to the huddle, dude. I mean, not jogged or walked or anything. Like he ran, damn near sprinted over to the huddle, and like that's got to be so intimidating. Not intimidating, but just wearing as a defense, right? You're like, dude, that guy just got laced and just popped right up. Dang, he's running 9 yards on us every carry. What we gotta do?
It's good to see our friend Brian here in the show. What's up, Brian? Thanks for joining.
Brian?
I've heard that. I feel like sometimes that's like a crutch people use when the team doesn't play very well. They weren't really trying, or they were doing this. I mean, I don't know, man. Like that game was 20-10, and if they're not playing an undrafted rookie quarterback that turned the ball over twice that led to 6 points, that could have been like a 20-17 game real quick against a depleted bad team already.
I don't think we're trying trick plays though against a better team, like little flea flickers back and then trying to just force shit.
I don't know. They do that Kelsey shovel thing. They do some trickery down there by the goal line. Nick, you mentioned Isaiah Pacheco running for the touchdown up the middle, but later in the game they tried that right there at the goal line and couldn't get 3 yards on 1st and goal to punch it into the end zone. So that was short-lived. I definitely understand and appreciate that you're not going to win every game in the NFL by 30 points. But I just feel like the gap between these two teams, especially with all the injuries, that team didn't have Matthew Stafford. They didn't have Cooper Kupp. I mean, they were man, how does that game look if they got those two guys playing? So, and it's a Rams team that had kind of been getting waxed by people. The 49ers embarrassed them a couple weeks ago. So it's just it's frustrating to see the team not play up to their full potential and to seem like they play down to their competition. The Colts game is a great analogy. Let's start breaking it down a little bit more in depth here. It started exactly like the Colts game.
Yeah.
Defense gets a stop on 3 and out, force a punt, Sky Moore fumbles it, gives the ball to the other team, flips the field position and maybe that's a blessing it happened in this game against that opponent because I don't know that you'll see Sky Moore out there returning any more punts. I don't know why it takes 3 fumbles.
I hope not.
I don't understand why it takes 3 fumbles for them to get that message, but he's just, and again, it's not his fault that he keeps getting put out there and being asked to do something he's not asked to do. And Andy Reid and them said the right things after the game. Well, that's on us. We should do better. We keep putting him out there. But why, though? Like, okay, it's on you, but everybody in Chiefs Kingdom knows by this week that the guy can't field punts. So I don't understand that. They had turnovers. They had the Patrick Mahomes interception. He said after the game that he was trying to fit it in. People were being critical. Oh, there he goes, showing off with no look and threw an interception. He said after the game that he was trying to squeeze it into Kelsey and then at the last second thought better of it, didn't think that he could quite, so he tried to stop, his motion, and the ball just came out of his hand because he had kind of loaded up and went past the point of no return. Like when you watch a baseball player try to do like a check swing, and it's just that forward, and so I threw it right into the guy's stomach. He goes, "That was a terrible turnover by me." I don't think you're going to see a lot of those from Patrick Mahomes moving forward. So, yeah, maybe some of it is being spoiled, but some of it too is watching this team play down to bad teams and lose games like the Colts game.
Yeah.
It felt like that game should have been 27-3 at halftime and over, and you see Chad Henne in the fourth quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. They won comfortably. They're 9-2, which we'll talk about the playoff race and some more of that here once we get past this game. But individual performances, plays, things that stood out. We talked about the Sky Moore, the special teams woes continue. They gave up a fake punt when I think everybody in the world knew that they were going to do a fake at some point in this game. I mean, that was all they had, right?
Right.
Before. They were talking about it on the TV. They were talking about it on the radio podcast I was listening to leading up to the game throughout the week. We're like, they're going to have to be alert on special teams because the Rams are going to throw the kitchen sink at the Chiefs and do everything they can, and they still give up the fake punt.
If that's what teams are banking on, I'm okay with that. Run as many special teams plays as you want, man.
But you'd like to think, like, if it's that predictable, you'd be able to stop it and be more prepared for it. So the Jags, they did an onside kickoff to start the game that fooled us 2 weeks ago, the week before. I
don't know if that one's predictable.
Kinds of things,
that's a ballsy move right there, though. That's not predictable.
Yeah, but it worked.
Well, yeah, because you do it in those. I mean,
right. Well, and the Jags. Well, here's the thing, though. The Jags see a flaw in the way the Chiefs cover kickoffs, and so they exploit it. Other teams have to see that same thing. I don't know. It's as simple as, oh, that's a ballsy play and it worked out in their favor. I mean, that's a calculated attacking a weakness in the Chiefs that teams are seeing.
You're right, but then there's the execution part of it, right? Like how many times have you seen a kicker try to make that onside kick, either not get it to the 10 or kick it sky high? You know what I mean? Like I know what you're saying about the calculation of it all, and they saw the hole, but fool me once. I don't think you're going to see that again. But
the Chiefs are the team that everybody's like, we've got to try to steal a possession here,
right?
That we've got to try to get these extra possessions because otherwise these guys are going to run roughshod over us, and that's just something that we have to deal with that maybe some other teams in the league don't, because it's almost like a compliment in a way that they feel like they have to try that kind of shit against us to have a chance to win, So, I mean, it's kudos, but you wish that, we had a Dan Sorensen, that would sniff it out and go and stop it. That's what you hope you'd have in that situation, because then you're turning what they're trying to turn into an advantage into your game. So
we talked about it last week. It's a retooling season, right? And what a hell of a season for a retooling season. We got a lot of youth out there, and so like what you're saying, just comes with experience. You know what I mean? As soon as we get a couple guys seeing that it's not going to happen on them again.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Good to see you, John V. Thanks for jumping. We appreciate it. Good show last night, too, by the way, John. Locker Room Rant. If you haven't checked out John V's show, The Locker Room Rant, it's on Tuesday evenings on YouTube. Go over, just give them a sub, give them a like, watch their videos. They cover the wide world of sports, as people like to call it. And it's really funny, really entertaining. I look forward to checking it out every Tuesday. So go give them a follow, go give them some sub, and just take our word for it. It's a good show. It's funny. It's worth the time. It's worth the watch. And there's just good dudes on the show as well. So we like supporting good dudes here on Chiefs Kingdom Live. They support us. But the Chiefs, that was kind of the bad. Some more of the bad was the red zone offense was so uncharacteristic. I think Big Doug had a comment here a second ago. The Chiefs were like 75% conversion rate in the red zone leading into that game. And then they had 4 drives in the end zone, or they had 4 red zone possessions where they kicked field goals. I'm going to chalk some of that up as you're probably not going to be 75% for an entire season. That is maybe, kind of an outlier. You're going to regress to the mean a little bit there. And I mentioned a few minutes ago, the Rams defense is still pretty legit. I mean, they got Aaron Donald in there. Jalen Ramsey. They've got players. Bobby Wagner. We talked about him laying the wood on Pacheco. So that was a little frustrating. I'm not really concerned about the red zone offense moving forward. Are you guys? I mean, do you think that's an alarm bell going off, or is that just kind of a fluky 1 week thing where you're not going to get 75 or 80% every week? Nick?
Yeah, I think that, you're definitely not going to see that every week. You're not going to be going up against Aaron Donald every week. And so it's something that Andy Reid in the post-game press conference, he said, yeah, we definitely saw something when, as that was lacking in our execution. I'm not going to bring it up now because we got to play the Bengals next week. So it seemed like he saw something that he thought was an opportunity for them. So I expect that they'll get it coached up. You're not talking 74, 75% red zone conversion through the first 2 weeks, right? You're talking about it through the first 10 weeks. So I think that that's more indicative of the team that you're going to see than what you saw against the Rams. However, it's just got to be something that they pay attention to and that they focus on. And, we have the right coaching staff, so I'm not concerned about that. So, we got we're getting big time, guys. We got some bots here in the chat.
Bots.
Oh man, I went to put it on screen. You already got rid of it, Bo?
Yeah, sorry, I was on it. Can't be giving these guys ideas. All these Johns in here.
Right.
Sending to sex dating websites.
Man, these algorithms are getting smart. They can identify the show with the Johns and put the sexfind.biz in there. But appreciate the view. I don't know if that counts as a view or not, but we'll take it. Yeah, that was kind of the bad, right? Special teams, red zone offense. The rest of the offense was humming, though. I mean, they were moving the ball on a good Rams defense. And
yeah, man.
So the man there, Travis Kelce, that 40 or a 39-yard touchdown play that he had was vintage Kelce.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, dude. Like, he does that catch and then turns back the other way, like spins back and it jukes, it gets people every time. There's a huge play in the game, obviously, with the red zone struggles to get that touchdown. The guy's now he's set a career best for touchdown catches with 12, right? And we're 11 games into the season.
Yeah.
You can almost just, I mean, when you can basically just count on and pencil in a guy having 80 yards and a touchdown every game, that makes life a lot easier for the offense. So he went quiet there for a little bit. I think maybe they were also giving him a little bit of a rest. They need him more down the stretch. I'd like to see his snap counts in some of these non-conference, weaker division or weaker opponent games. Maybe start trying to keep these guys fresh a little bit. But Travis Kelce, I don't know what else there is to say that we haven't already said about him 1,000 times. You guys got anything to add on Travis's game? Nick, Bo?
No, just congrats to him on breaking his personal record for touchdowns in a season. He's just that good, right? I mean, they just keep putting guys on him, and and he still leads the league in touchdown receptions this year, I think. So, I mean, as a tight end, right? Talk about a guy that maybe should be getting some consideration at the lower end of the MVP conversation. He's a guy that he's had a 4 touchdown game and a 3 touchdown game this year. You can't say enough good things about Kelce and what he does week in and week out, year in and year out. His consistency is just unmatched and unrivaled against, really anybody that I've ever seen play at that level at the tight end position. So
nice. There you go, John. Good play, man. Winning a little bit of money. Good for you. Yeah,
dude, I found some cool stats about Travis Kelce scoring his 12th touchdowns. Some other notable teams that only have 12 touchdowns are the Browns and the Texans, right? So they only have 12 touchdowns total. Teams that have less than that the Rams, the Titans, the Patriots, the Colts, the Giants, the Panthers, the Broncos, and the Steelers. So hats off to Travis Kelce for scoring more than half the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right, Tom. He is a beast. And yeah, I feel a big game coming on. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for shooting us a comment. Good to see you again. Appreciate it. Yeah, the guy's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's unstoppable. You wonder at some point, like, when he's going to slow down because he's not a spring chicken. He's been in the league a long time. There's also that stat going around that he only needed like 139 yards to have the most receiving yards by a tight end in their first, what was it, like?
First to 10,000 yards or something.
First to 10,000 yards.
He only needed like 39 games to do it.
Right, he only needed like 39 games to do it. But there was another stat too, like he had more yards than every other tight end in history. And he didn't even catch a pass his rookie season. So I mean, he's rewriting the record books. He's fun to watch. He's matured and grown right, in front of us before our very eyes. He's definitely not the guy that was throwing towels at referees and saying they shouldn't work at Foot Locker and after the game. But we love Travis.
I mean,
who stood out in this last game to you, Scott? You had asked us for notable players.
Sorry, go ahead, Bo.
No,
you go.
Pacheco. I've been waiting for him all season. Like, we've been talking about it. And now that he's had a chance to really take the reins these last couple of games, he's averaging 5 yards a carry. I want to say he's picked up like 10 or 11 first downs, which is big, right? I mean, he's getting to the chains. He hasn't really busted a long touchdown run yet, which I would like to see. He's got the speed for it. But, John, I don't think you see Travis Kelce play anywhere else in the NFL. He's talked about that legacy over money, and he plays for wins and he plays for legacy. Patrick Mahomes will outplay him, and I don't think you see Travis Kelce catch passes from anybody other than Patrick Mahomes the rest of his career. So I think we're safe there. But yeah, to me, Pacheco, I mean, you could say Mahomes, right? He had another 300-yard game. He only had one touchdown pass, but he made several great plays, scrambling, getting first downs. I feel like we're close to a long Pacheco run, but since he's taken over like the starting range, he's, like I say, he's getting 5 yards a pop. He's scored a touchdown this week. He's moving the chains. He's doing everything you want a first-string running back to do. Tough as nails. He got hit hard a couple times. One was out of bounds and draw a 15-yard penalty, and he like popped right up and sprinted back to Patrick Mahomes like before the huddle even convened. So he's got energy. He's a hard runner. He looks like a guy that would not be much fun to tackle. So yeah, he kind of stood out to me. It was, there wasn't a whole lot of scoring going on. So, but I don't know, Nick.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on what John C said here with Snead. L'Jarius Sneed was, I believe, the top-rated Pro Football Focus defender all of last week.
Nice.
Had a couple of really big key plays for us.
He had himself a game, huh?
Yeah, I think I got it over here. Yeah, there we go. And also, had a little bit of a scare there where, he was in the concussion checkout or whatever. And thankfully he was okay. He came back in the game. But yeah, definitely I'm going to go with Snead. It was a good defensive game. I know that we were playing, a JV team kind of on their end, but they still pretty much kicked their ass, only allowed 10 points. So I know during the game I was a little frustrated that they gave up any points, but looking back, when you can hold a team to 10 points, that's something to hang your hat on, definitely. So
yeah, outside of the one long drive that the Chiefs gave up for the touchdown, I think it was like a 14-play drive or something. They were getting pressure. They were disrupting the offense. They were not moving the ball really at all. Played pretty good. Snead, that guy, it just seems like the dude's everywhere.
Right. He seemed like it that game.
He's in the backfield pressuring the quarterback, getting sacks. He's intercepting passes. He's leading the team in tackles. I mean, the guy is just flying around making plays.
Dude, I normally say that about Nick Bolton, which he he did this last game too. Bolton did. But Snead looked exactly like that, dude. Like wanting to be a part of every single play, a la the water boy, dude. I was just hearing the little as he's running towards people, man. Like he had himself a game. I was enjoying watching them play defense. They played lights out.
Yeah, no, they played pretty good. Bo, who stood out to you?
You know what? We gave him a lot of shit in our text thread for missing the punt. Sky Moore, man. Like I so frustrating watching him trying to return punts. I'm with you. I hope they don't have him back there anymore. But next series comes right out, makes a stellar catch right off the bat, immediately gets his confidence back, and kind of has himself a game for being a rookie. You know, I mean, he still has a small role, but you can see that kid's going to be something special when he gets a little bit more development and a little bit more games under his belt. But I like that they're starting to use him, that Patrick's getting more comfortable with him. He looks really good.
Yeah. Another encouraging thing from the game, individual performance, Harrison Butker looked like maybe he's back on track. He was perfect on field goals and extra point in the game. It's funny, ever since I pointed out that, like, none of his kicks ever look like they're that, like, textbook end over end down the middle
shot
kick.
Lasers.
Every freaking time now, it's end over end, sailing right down the middle of the the goalpost. I mean, good to see that guy not have any misses. It was a little concerning. There was a story where they were saying that, he wasn't 100%. He said that last week before this Rams game. And then there was some more stuff out there saying that, he might not be at 100% this year just because of the nature of the injury and continuing to kick. So that when I read that, made me a little worried. But after watching him go out there and nail, and not all those were gimmies either. A couple were longer field goals. So he looked good. Yeah, Tom, Andy Reid agrees with you too that it's on the coaching, putting him out there. It's not his fault he can't, catch punts. He never did it in college. He never did it in high school. Here's my opinion on why they're trying to force that square peg into that round hole. I don't think he's gotten the production at receiver that they were hoping for from a second-round pick. Part of that could just be there's so many receivers on the team. You've got Juju, you brought in Kadarius Toney, who's a former first-round pick. You've got other guys. You've got Travis Kelce. You got Jody Fortson. They're spreading the ball around. I think maybe they're trying to force that to get some value out of that second-round pick. Like, we spent a second-round pick on this guy. He's not really producing much. He's not getting on the field at wide receiver. What can we do to maybe get some more juice or validate that pick a little bit? And I think that's backfired on him here, trying to force him into that role. I would like to think you'll see Kadarius Toney return punts when he comes back. So
I'm okay with Justin Watson returning them. He did fine. You know what he did? Fair catch.
Yeah.
Caught the ball.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with that every single time.
Yeah, you're not fumbling it. You're not running it backwards. You're not getting hit and blown up and fumbling the ball. You're not getting a block in the back penalty or a holding penalty on the return that moves you backwards. I am good with Patrick Mahomes and our offense. I'm good with touchbacks and fair catches.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, every time.
So, yeah, Justin Watson, I thought it was funny too. He kind of like made a little gesture to the sideline when he caught that punt. I don't know if he was busting. I don't know if he's busting Sky Moore's balls a little bit or what that was about. But
he looked right over at Sky and winked at him. So there you go.
He definitely he did some sort of gesture. I didn't catch it all that well on the broadcast live.
Cold-blooded, man.
But I did see it. So, I agree with our guy Brian here. So,
how about Andy? When a young fella turns the ball over, always seems to call their number soon after. Yep, great confidence booster when your coach has faith in you, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between having faith in somebody, though. Okay, we're going to go back to the guy, but you fumble it again, maybe you lose a little faith in the guy. I mean, this isn't high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, these games, the level of competition and the margin for error is so small that. Okay, Pacheco fumbled. Great example of that. Pacheco fumbled against the Jaguars. Very next offensive series, first play, him, long run. Hasn't fumbled since. Great. Build his confidence. Sky Moore, he fumbles it against the Colts. Okay, he's a rookie. He's learning. Maybe he's got some jitters early in the season. Go back to him. When he does it a second time, maybe that's time to not like have so much confidence in the guy and worry about his feelings or worry about his confidence level. But Chiefs win. They move to 9-2, still first place.
Feels good
still
to hear.
First place in the AFC. I don't know how many people had the Chiefs at 9-2 after 11 games into the season with the murderer's schedule. And we talked about that in our season kickoff show. About it's fun to try to predict how many wins you're going to have and go through the schedule and say, well, this is a tough game. This is a win. This is a win. This is because there's so much turnover and change in teams and injuries, and very little teams are the same year to year. But still, they've played a lot of playoff teams. They've played good competition. They're 9-2. They're first place in the AFC. Coming down the stretch here, everything's in their hands. Yeah.
That's how much confidence his coaches and front office have in him. They have a lot of confidence in that guy.
They keep starting him.
Yeah. Trey Lance got hurt, but 49ers win again. They won, what, 4 straight now? They're 7-3. There's people talking about them maybe being, up there with the Eagles and the Cowboys in that talk for the best team in the NFC. I don't really know. They've kind of beaten up on some bad teams on the Rams and the Cardinals, and I mean they lost to the Broncos, so that's a bad loss. But Jimmy G, we've talked about this before. To me, Jimmy G he's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, and you really need a great quarterback to break through and get to that consistent championship contending level. So I'm all for building confidence for guys, but I'm also not for just making the same mistake over and over and over and over and over. But
does he really, John? Dang, I was about to say, like, why? In my mind, Jimmy G's not as bad as everyone keeps saying. I mean, he missed one throw in a Super Bowl, and man, the guy just hasn't lived it down since. I mean, he's playoff bound every year. He studied under the greatest quarterback to kind of grace the game.
Yeah.
41-19. I know they were kind of talking about this last night, but to me, that's tell you you're going to get a quarterback in over 50 games. He's going to be 40-10. Like, you're just like, what? Yeah, I'll take that quarterback. I like the guy, man. I like him in San Francisco. San Francisco, I think, is doing a good job of surrounding him with amazing weapons. CMC, Debo, Ayuk, like Kittle. I mean, that team is set up to do. I mean, you don't need a great quarterback with those guys. You just need what they have, a good quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah. You saw with the Chiefs, though, and Alex Smith, right? Alex Smith was a really good quarterback, but he wasn't Patrick Mahomes, and they couldn't break through until they got Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we had Kareem Hunt, we had Travis Kelce, and the defense definitely was not as good under Bob Sutton when we had Alex Smith. They were more the problem than Alex Smith was, but I think that's a good comparison, that Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes, how much different the Chiefs look when you move up that tier from good above average quarterback to elite Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes level quarterback play. That's hard to find too. That's hard to find, but
I have to check this out. Did you guys see what Edelman said?
Yeah, we'll have to dig into that. But I'll sign up for Chiefs Niners Super Bowl rematch right now.
Yeah,
any day.
Any day of the week. So let's see how things play out here. Playoff picture ahead of getting into the Bengals game this week's Chiefs Kingdom Live poll. I was curious to see who Chiefs Kingdom thought was the biggest threat to the Chiefs. Chiefs are in first place in the AFC right now at 9-2. We were just talking about that. There's, a handful of teams that are right in there behind them in that 3 to 4 loss range, nipping at their heels a little bit. The Bills, they've kind of, maybe it looks like they are similar to last season, peaked early, are kind of falling off, coming back to earth a little bit here. Struggled to beat the Lions. Needed a last-second field goal to beat them. Struggled to beat the Browns. Lost to the Jets. The Dolphins are looking pretty salty with Tua when he's healthy. He's undefeated at quarterback. The Bengals, this week's opponent coming up, looks like maybe they're heating up. Joe Burrow is starting to play better than he did. They start 0-2, but they're like 7-2 or something since that 0-2 start. So they're playing pretty well.
Sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
There.
So here we go.
And I was a little surprised. I thought the Bills people would probably still pick them just because Josh Allen and the way they played and the offseason hype for that team. But I thought maybe it'd be a little bit closer. I thought I didn't expect the Ravens to really garner a whole lot of votes there. But they would technically be the 4th seed in the AFC, so that's why I threw them in there. But, I mean, over 50% of the vote, people are still concerned mostly about the Bills. Just go around the horn here, see what you guys think. Bo, who do you think is the biggest threat to the Chiefs right now in the AFC?
Yeah, man, I voted the Dolphins just because historically they've been season wreckers for teams that you wouldn't even expect them to be. And I don't expect them to be a season wrecker for us, and that's why I picked them. Just like they come up out of nowhere, it seems like, and just ruin teams' chances of playoffs. This year's a little different. They've kind of been a contender finally, but they always just have that ability to kind of knock some people out or move the positioning of seeds around, and they're just that wild card to me. So I picked the Dolphins. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I agree with you with the Dolphins. I would say that the Bengals are essentially the Dolphins with slightly less talent on wide receiver and a lot more talent at quarterback, right? So I just that team worries me. We're 0-2 against Joe Burrow. We're going to play him this week, so we'll see how that goes. I think Chiefs Kingdom feels like we were the better team in both of those games and really just made some foolhardy mistakes that cost those wins for us. But yeah, I would say either of those teams. I mean, the Bills are definitely a good team. What the Bills have is a really good defense. So we'll see. But you know, we've seen how playoff Patrick performs against top defenses, right? And he has a nose for destroying those good defenses. The Dolphins with their passing attack and having Tyreek Hill, I mean, that's a team that you got to watch out for. So I would pick one of those two teams. I'd probably give the edge to the Bengals just because I've seen them beat us right in the postseason. So that's who I'd put up there right now.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth between the Dolphins and the Bills. The Bengals, to me, they needed a penalty, right? I mean, they got kind of a good, fortunate call to beat the Titans in that game last week. I don't know. Joe Burrow is hot and cold to me. Although you can say the same about Josh Allen and the Bills. Yeah. He's been cold these last few weeks. I mean, he's got as many interceptions as he does touchdown passes. He's only thrown for like 200-something yards the last 4 weeks. He's struggling.
Do you guys think he's hurt? I think he's hurt. I think his elbow's
injury there. They're definitely. Well, I mean, I know for sure they said he was dealing with an elbow injury a few weeks ago on his throwing arm, and he's continued to play through it. I haven't really monitored his injury status the last couple weeks since it came out that he was having the elbow issue. But to me, the Dolphins with that passing attack and that speed matching up against our inexperienced corners, rookies, like I've been a little bit disappointed with the Justin Reed signing. You don't really see him missing tackles a lot. You don't really see him making a lot of big plays there at the safety position. You don't really hear his name. You don't really say, "Oh, there's Reed making a big tackle again."
Well, he's
the counter to that, you don't hear Reed getting burned by any means.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying the guy's been a complete bust, but I've been a little bit disappointed. I thought he would come and be a little bit more of a bigger playmaker for us in that secondary. But man, and I know you could put Snead, but Snead's more like he really excels in that slot blitzing kind of cornerback. He's not necessarily a true wide, lockdown corner you just put on a team's number one the whole game and you don't have to worry about him. You really can't put him on an island. I think about like Jalen Watson and those guys trying to cover Tyreek Hill and Waddle downfield, man. And I understand.
Think about it.
There's this idea that, oh, just play 2 deep safeties, cover 2, and you can shut down Tyreek Hill. That ain't true. Ask the Bills about that in the divisional round last year. But to me, the Bills still they've got playmakers too. They got Stephon Diggs, right? I mean they're a salty team. So, and maybe I'm not giving the Bengals enough respect. I mean, they've beaten us twice in a row now, going back to last year. But those were games to me where the Chiefs they blew. They had 18-point lead in both those games and choked it away
completely.
And the Bengals in the regular season game last year had 8th and goal there at the end to win it. Like kept getting penalties at the goal line, even though the Chiefs were stopping them. We'll get to the Bengals game here in a second. So I would say the Dolphins right now. If I had to pick one of the two, I'm really, like I said, going back and forth between the Bills and the Dolphins. But that Tyreek, and I'm one of these people that, I don't know if superstitious is the right word, but I can just see Tyreek Hill coming back to haunt you. Like you got rid of him and he comes back and burns your ass in the playoffs. Like that would be some awesome. Epic Chiefs karma there. The mess for you. You get rid of the guy and he smokes you in the playoffs and sends you home. But
I was just thinking, like, if we do end up having to play Tyreek, if there's anybody that would know how to shut him down or what works against him, it would be our offensive coordinator, actually, right? They had to plan it against it all last year, like every single defensive scheme you could imagine to stop that guy. They've seen it. They know what works, what doesn't. They know what they're going to go with him and stuff. But then they just have the X factor and Waddle being just as good and Gesicki being a huge target, and their run game starting to come alive with who did they get? They get Wilson. Did they get Jeff Wilson? No, who did they get? Whoever they got, their running back starting to crush it too. So
the Bengals,
the Dolphins.
Oh, Dolphins. I'm sorry. They got Jeff Wilson, and they got Raheem Mostert, who's a good running back when he's healthy.
Right.
So, yeah, they're salty.
I lean towards the Bengals because they have more experience, right? And they don't. I mean, look, I want to root for Tua. We've talked about this. Like, I'm all for as many left-handed people at quarterback as we can get, but I just Tua isn't. I mean, I don't think there's a comparison between him and Burrow. I mean, I think Burrow's a much better quarterback. So maybe I'm wrong, but I just, the Bengals have more experience. They beat us, so that's why. I mean, until we prove that we can beat them this week, I just, that's the team that, like, I think that, that's the only team that we've really ever struggled with in the Mahomes era, where we, we started out 0-2 against them. Is there any other team that beat Patrick twice in a row to start out? I don't think so.
No.
So.
No, but I mean, we're going to find out about the Bengals coming up this week. Chiefs play Sunday in Cincinnati. They start a 3-game road trip here. Only 2 more home games left for the Chiefs. They've had kind of a weird schedule. They played a lot of road games early and then had a whole bunch of home games in the middle of the season. And now they go back out on the road a bunch here to finish it up. Chiefs are playing, at the Bengals this week. I feel pretty good about this game. I watched the Chiefs pretty much dominate the Bengals for most of the last 2 games and then just fritter it away. And you feel like the Chiefs beat themselves more than the Bengals beat them. I'm sure, the Bengals fans would scoff at that.
I'm being corrected here. John C. and Tom. Patriots started 2-0 against Mahomes.
There you go.
Let's talk about this game, yeah?
Yeah, that would have been that first year, right, for Mahomes, though, where they lost in the playoffs because our defense was, like, one of the worst defenses in the history. So, Chiefs at Bengals, I would feel better about this game if it was at home. It seems like we were back on the road to play the Bengals. What are you guys thinking? How are you feeling about this game, Bo?
I'm really good. I feel really good about this game. I don't know if Jamar Chase is going to be back for the game. I think he had a limited practice today, so it's kind of to be determined if he's going to play on Sunday. And I think the same goes for their running back Joe Mixon. if those two guys are back, then it's like, all right, all hands on deck kind of shit, right? Like, got to get the troops rallied, get ready for this. Can't have a performance like we did against the Rams. Everybody needs to be sharp, crisp, ready to play. Doug had a comment earlier that reminded me of the last Bengals game where as long as Spags, doesn't make bonehead calls like sending the house and leaving Jamar Chase one-on-one with rookies, I think we'll be okay. But, that's all TBD. So, no, I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I'd like to see our defense, our offense play a little bit better against their defense. And I'd like us to not shoot ourselves in the foot like you were alluding to in the playoff game there last year. We have the ability to beat this team. We have the personnel. We have the coaching staff to do it. Just got to go out there and get it done.
Right. I like Tom's comment. That is, to me, is like the biggest factor, and that's not really a tangible thing you can calculate. But yeah, I don't see Mahomes losing. They've got extra motivation from the AFC Championship game last year and the game in the regular season. Like I mentioned, they blew, 18-point lead. You shouldn't blow an 18-point lead ever, let alone twice in one season to a team like the Bengals. Nick, how are you feeling about this game? Concerns, areas where you feel confident about?
Yeah, I mean, I said that they were the team that scared me the most, but it didn't mean that I was super scared of any team, right? I mean, I think that we have the best team, we have the best quarterback, we have the best coach. So I'm pretty confident going into this game. I mean, I think that the Bengals they're starting to put it together this year, but I think that like you said, Mahomes. I mean, he takes notes and he's pissed off, right? We saw what happened when we played against Tampa Bay the first time after we had played them in the Super Bowl. I'm looking for one of those games, and to be honest, we should have had one of those games in the AFC Championship. I mean, we were all sitting there at the end of the first half, or towards the end of the first half, we were up 21-3. They scored a touchdown, and then we didn't, we went for it instead of kicking the field goal, and things just kind of like spiraled. But it wasn't necessarily that the Bengals beat us as much as like we beat ourselves by just not playing well. So. I think that we have a more diversified offense this year, so it won't be maybe as easy for the Bengals to key on a few guys in the second half. I think that they kind of got on our game plans and shut down a couple of things, and I don't think that's as much of an option for any team this year, where we're throwing the ball to 9, 10, 11 guys a game. Good luck, right? Good luck figuring out where the hell they're going to go with the ball. And we've got, guys that can beat you everywhere. And one thing that we've got this year that we didn't have last year is a more viable running back, right? Like if Pacheco can continue, if he can have a 100-yard game, that's just like another layer of things that the Bengals have to deal with on top of having, more receivers. We got Juju back, right? It looks like Tony's probably not going to play. But I'm pretty confident coming into this game. I just feel like it's the Chiefs to lose. It's our conference to lose at this point, right? All we got to do is keep winning, and we'll get some distance, and we'll have that 1 seed in the first round bye. So,
to me, a big difference where the Chiefs have gotten a lot better this year than last year is pressuring the quarterback and getting sacks.
Yeah.
The Bengals still have given up a lot of sacks. Burrow's still taking hits. Chiefs, they didn't get any sacks in that game. And Chris Jones in the regular season matchup kind of dominated stretches of that game. But now they've got other guys that can rush the quarterback. Frank Clark is quietly having a resurgent year. I mean, I'm not saying that he's back to the Frank Clark where we thought he was going to be like defensive player of the year candidate when the Chiefs brought him over from Seattle. But he's up there with pressures and sacks in the AFC and for defensive ends. Karlaftis got his first sack this last week. He's up there, and when you look at pressures and hurries and things like that for the rookie pass rusher class, he's right up there with some of these guys that got picked at the top of the first round. So he's been solid. I think you're going to see the Chiefs defense get to Joe Burrow and rattle him. And I think he can be rattled. I think if you hit that guy a few times, I think you can knock him off his game. He's streaky anyway. So, and Chris Jones, he's said it a couple times this year about the sack he missed on third down in that championship game last year, where Burrow scrambled and got out. You know, he had him and he didn't get the sack. And he scrambled for a first down. And they ended up going down and scoring. I think if Chris Jones makes that sack on that third down, Chiefs probably win that game. So,
yep.
I look for the defense because the teams are still pretty even, right? I mean, roster's pretty close to the same last year. I mean, they've got Chase and Burrow, and we've got Mahomes, and we don't have Tyreek Hill, but we've got Juju, and our passing attack and our offense is actually better at yards per game, yards per play, all these metrics from last year. Two pretty similar teams. The Chiefs have gotten stronger at an area in the pass rush and the defensive line, and getting creative with blitzes to get pressure on the quarterback than they were last year. And that's still one of the Bengals' weaknesses. I think that plays a big difference. Another thing I think is huge is when Jamar Chase is pushing off on you, you just need to flop and fall to the ground. Like, flail your arms in the air.
You can't do it every play because he does it every play, though.
You've got to figure out a way to make the referees call those penalties when those guys do that. They all do it. Not just Chase, Higgins, these other guys that they got, they do. I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know if it's just as simple as they just dare the referees to call it. Like, we're going to do it all the time. And if the referees were going to call it every time, then so be it. But if not, we're going to get away with more than they call. I think that's their mindset when it comes to that. So got to figure out a way to get the penalty flags when they're getting pushed off on. Yeah, Tom, that's kind of what I was talking about. Bengals are basically the same. Chiefs are the same in a lot of ways, but yeah, they've definitely changed. Like I was just mentioning on the defensive line, and able to spread the ball around more to the wide receivers and the tight ends. Kelsey is going to have his 80 or 100 yards and a touchdown. Nick, you bring up a good point about having Pacheco kind of in that lead back role instead of Clyde. That's another upgrade from last year.
I mean, not being able to run the ball killed us in that AFC Championship game. We should have been able to chew up the clock, right?
Completely. We were running the ball. They stopped doing it for some reason. I mean, Jerick McKinnon was getting, I was thinking he was getting like 6 or 7 yards a carry. And they moved away from it.
For who? Yeah, CEH, right? Like, it's been the big question mark on all of our minds every time. A different running back will get 7 or 8 yards. They'll take him out immediately, throw in CEH, and the run game goes to shit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good about this game.
You guys want to get on the keys of the kingdom?
But
what's that? Keys of the kingdom now?
Yeah, throw them up. All right. See what Nick's got for us here.
So, so offensive points per game, the Chiefs, man, that's pretty. 29.6, first in the NFL. The Bengals, though, not far behind, 25.9, which is fifth. That gives the Chiefs the advantage. Defensive points per game, not a lot of difference here, right? So the Chiefs are at 16th with 22.1. The Bengals at 21 or at 13th. They get the edge there, but it's pretty close.
Somebody in the chat was asking about that stat where our defense ranked. Sorry.
Oh, yep. All good. Yeah. So QB sacks taken, though, right? The Chiefs 17, the Bengals 33. So we talked about that, right? Man, Burrow, like, people are already saying he's going to be the next Andrew Luck because he gets sacked so much. And so, hopefully our improved pass rush can help us out there, but that goes to the Chiefs. And then a couple of interesting stats here. The Chiefs, after last week, right, their red zone percentage dropped 65% to 71%. So the Bengals get the edge there. And then another one that, we talked about it, and I don't know if you noticed, I put versus the OPI All-Stars because I think that's like half of their game is just being able to push off and not get offensive pass interference. I mean, it's like all they do is throw up 50-50 balls and not get called. The Bengals are second in the league with 36 yards per game in penalty yards. And you just got to wonder, I mean, how, I'm a firm believer that is not a sign of a disciplined team. I think that is the sign of a lucky team. I mean, I just don't think that Like there's that big of a difference in teams. So you wonder if some of that's going to be more, regression towards the mean. But it's something to watch out for, right? They're not just throwing a lot of flags against the Bengals. So then we got our next stat here. QB blew the Super Bowl by not converting a fourth down with a chance to win. Nope, the Chiefs didn't do that last year. The Bengals, yeah, so that gives the advantage to the Chiefs. And then we just top it off here with the Joe Burrow face after he didn't convert that fourth down. So
I was trying to predict some of your keys to the kingdom in my head before the show went on, and I was thinking, all right, he's going to have a Super Bowl stat for sure. It's going to be been to a Super Bowl each. Yes. Okay. We'll give the tie, right? It's going to be tied.
And if you watch this, like, it just reminds me of The Simpsons, like where he's like, look, if you pause it, you can see the exact moment his heart breaks. And, if you're going to beat us and go to the Super Bowl, at least win the damn thing. Like that's what pissed me off is like, dude, like you guys didn't even win. So.
Yeah. I look back at that loss against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl where we had guys dropping touchdowns or hitting them in the face, and like the unfortunate injuries that piled up in the playoffs and late in the season on our offensive line that cost us that Super Bowl, and then blowing that game at home against the Bengals. Chiefs would have beat the Rams in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, they should be looking at 3-peat. It's fucking ridiculous. But anyway.
In another multiverse, that happened.
Right, in another multiverse that happened. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I don't, I'm not going to predict the Chiefs to go in there and beat them by 3 touchdowns or anything ridiculous like that. But
you should.
They're just the Chiefs. I just feel like they have gotten a little bit better. And the Bengals, you look at some of these games they've won too. The Tennessee, right? That was like a weak drive extending penalty that they got that kept that game alive. Tennessee, I know people think to seem like they played the Chiefs tough and they gave the Chiefs all they wanted. The Chiefs got screwed by penalties in that game, and they had over 500 yards of offense against the Titans and really should have won that game by 20 points. So Bengals, Joe Burrow, he had a game where against I want to say it was the Steelers there earlier in the year. He had like 4 turnovers, he had 3 picks, fumble. The dude's hot and cold, and I think he can be rattled. And the defense needs to get in there and get 3 or 4 or 5 sacks on the dude and get in there early and let him know it's going to be a long day and you ain't going to have all day to stand back there and chuck it up deep for these 50-50 balls and have your guy push off like you're playing 500 in the backyard with your brother. So
I like the analogy here. The 2 teams are good, but playing on 2 different golf courses throughout the year. I just went and looked at the Bengals schedule. Yeah, man. Yeah. Good analogy. I'll just leave it at that. Completely right. One's playing Pebble Beach. The other one's playing Arroyo del Oso in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A little different course.
Hey, man, don't be talking smack on Arroyo. All right? That was not bad.
That's where I learned how to play, man. I love that course.
Yeah. Man, it's been a long time since
it's just not hard.
It's just not Pebble Beach.
Yeah, not Pebble Beach. Anything else about this game, you guys? I mean, I know Nick just did his keys, and I was kind of talking about sacks. What are you looking forward to in this game?
I think you guys nailed it perfectly. I think we missed our opportunity on trying to sack Joe Burrow last year, and I think we got some redemption to make up for this game. That's what I'm looking forward to, man. I can see Karlaftis actually getting to him maybe a couple times, man. That guy's thirsty for sacks. He's this close every single game. He has the most pass deflects, I think, than any other lineman in the league. You mentioned Jones. That dude's a stud. You're seeing Gay and the Shark come through. Our defense is starting to light it up, and I could see them getting to Burrow a lot, and that's what I'm looking forward to this game. Like I said, you nailed it right on the head there.
Dude, you're talking about defense and Nick Bolton. I mean, I know the guy's been good, but there's been some tweets going around here the last few days about Nick Bolton's one of 2 players this year with X amount of sacks, X amount of interceptions, X amount of tackles for loss. He's the only player the last 2 years with X amount of like this statistic. This is like the dude he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL right now.
So good. He's so good.
I mean, you hear like some of these other guys like Patrick Queen, some of these other more highly touted guys like the Queen in Baltimore and some of these other big name. You don't see their name up on here with these stats and like guys only player with this, and this the last 2 years or this season. He's had 2 game-ending interceptions. Now those are tip passes, right? But he was still heads up. He was around the ball to make the play. I mean, he didn't quit on the play. He was chase. He had the motor, the high energy going. So, man, what a steal! That dude was not a like highly rated, big heralded guy out of Missouri, and Chiefs picked him late in the draft. He is
complete.
He is.
Dude, let him keep flying under the radar, though, right? Like that's fine.
Yeah.
It keeps him hungry. He's playing
that
off
chip,
the hook. Like, yeah, exactly.
That chip on your shoulder, man. When you can be one of the best at your position and still get that disrespect, play with a chip on your shoulder, that's a huge advantage to have.
Right.
That's a huge advantage. So, kudos to that dude. Some other guys too. Chris Jones, man, I like this dude's. He's in the discussion. I think right now it's down to him and Micah Parsons from the Cowboys for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I think Parsons has got a few more sacks and he's a little bit more flashy playing in Dallas. I think maybe he's had a couple more dominant games where he had like just crazy tackles and tackles for losses and sack games. So he might be ahead in the voting right now. But I mean, it's down to those 2 guys.
Yeah.
Chris Jones he's having an amazing season too.
Mind meld with Big Doug here. Let's go with that D-line.
Yeah. Chris Jones, like I said, he's mentioned the missed sack, and he hears the no playoff sacks, and he doesn't get sacks when it matters in big games or whatever. That's eating at him, and maybe that's some of the motivation, the fuel for how he's played this season. But yeah, he
did just get his 10th sack that got him like 1.5 million for it. I don't know. Maybe the incentive's not there. Is there a bigger incentive after like 15 or 20 sacks?
I don't know. But that's a nice bonus. $1 million. Like,
quick milli, no big deal.
Right. Bolton in there. It's gonna be interesting to see.
So what do you think the score of this game is going to be, Scott?
I think the Chiefs win. I'm going to go 36-30. I think it's a little bit of a shootout. I think our secondary, honestly, I think the secondary is going to struggle a little bit. But covering Chase, I think he's going to get his. But I see the defense doing just enough. And I think it's like the Chiefs are up by 10 to 13 points for most of the game, and the Bengals just airing out trying to play catch-up.
Just like the U.S.-Iran game, right? Score early, have them just trying to get that goal.
Bunker ball.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. U.S. plays Netherlands. I guess knockout. They made it out of the group stage, man. So
that's
congratulations, U.S. Soccer. I know my guy John V is a big U.S. soccer fan, so that's exciting.
All right. There you go.
I'll be watching that game Saturday morning for sure. But
definitely. What time, is that noon, right? Noon Central Time?
I think it's like 9 a.m. or something.
Oh, I'll definitely have to check that out. No, I agree with you, man. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be a battle. I don't know if it's gonna be as high scoring, man. Like all these games this year that have been slated to be these high scoring shootouts have kind of been duds. We've had one ourselves. So I'm going to kind of go a little bit lower, but I'm still going to kind of keep it close. I'm going to say like 27-21. Still somewhat close, but yeah, somewhere in there. What about you, Nick?
Well, Scotty was pretty close to what I was thinking. I was going to go 37-28. So I'm thinking we're gonna win. I think we'll get kind of a late touchdown that's going to put it kind of out of reach, and then that'll be game. But I'm thinking our defense is going to struggle, right? Just the cornerbacks against their receiving core. They have a really good receiving core. So I think it's going to be a lot of points scored. So we'll just have to, wait for the Chiefs to come out on top. But it looks like we got some comments here. So John C. Chiefs 35, Cincinnati 31.
John's price is right.
Yeah, one-man show. Chiefs 30.
Does it work that way?
So, anybody else in the comments there got some score predictions? John V. Okay, so Scott means 27-17. I don't know if that means that's John V's prediction or if he's giving Scott shit, but I'm
He's
here
giving
for
Scott shit there.
Yeah,
He's giving me a hard time because he seems to think that I pick them to score 30 plus all the time, and they don't score 30, but they're still averaging 30 points a game. So,
right.
I don't think the Bengals defense is very good. No. And the Chiefs have shown they can move the ball on anybody. They move the ball and put up 40 plus. Should have had 50 really against the Niners defense, which is a lot of people are saying is the best defense in the league. They walked all over the Buccaneers defense. It was number 1 ranked scoring defense in the league at that time. They moved the ball and scored on the Bills, top ranked defense. They've moved the ball and scored. I mean, they have just. And I think you see Andy Reid maybe pull some tricks out of the bag here in this game too, because this is a big game. Chiefs win this game and go to 10-2.
Locked up.
They're gonna be looking real good.
Oh yeah.
Home field advantage. So, and you kind of push
it gets a lot softer, right?
What's that?
The schedule gets a lot softer after this game, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean you've got the second game out of the against the Chargers out of the way. Coming down the stretch, I mean, I know I said there's a 3-game road trip coming up here, but after this game, it's Broncos and Texans.
And then Seattle and then Broncos.
Yeah, and then they get a game in Seattle, who was looking salty, but just lost to the Raiders at home. So they can definitely be beaten. Their defense is not all that great. Yeah, you got 2 left against the Broncos. You get to play the Texans.
It's all joy for us too, John V. Keep it up, man.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I love it, John. I appreciate it, man. It's a good back and forth. Kind of reminded me of our Shank Club days a little bit. So, man, big prize going big. Score. 52-13.
Don't tip me with that burger one-man show. There's an In-N-Out right down the street.
I mean, I think the Chiefs scoring 50 at some point this year. I just don't know who it's going to be against. Maybe the Texans, but
that'd be awesome.
God, I hope it's against Denver. I'm going to call my brother immediately.
Oh yeah, me too. I was in our little fantasy football league real quick. I know no one cares about fantasy football, but I play in this league. For those of you who don't know, me and Bo's brother Derek played soccer together growing up. We're the same age. We're pretty good friends, and too. And we stay in touch. And we play in this fantasy football league. And a lot of them are Broncos fans. And I just sent out in the group text thing the other day. I said, "Damn! Imagine getting swept by the Raiders. What's up?" You know. And it was all crickets. None of them said shit. But yeah, I mean, they got swept by the Raiders. That is fucking hilarious. Man. That's a bad season.
You were a part of that league at the right years, my friend, because when I was in that league, our team was not so great, and it was rough being a part. They had Manning, and God, the shit never stopped on. Anyway.
No, I bet not. So, yeah, it's going to be a big game. Chiefs, like I said, they get to 10-2. Look out. That's Katie bar the door for that 1 seed. Because I don't really see them. And they got another game against the Raiders to finish the season out. I mean, it's favorable schedule coming up for the Chiefs, especially like they get the Seahawks and the Broncos at home. I'll be at that Seahawks game Christmas Eve with Big Doug. Looking forward to that game.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, exactly, John. No one should even lose a coin toss to the Raiders, let alone get swept by them.
Nice.
Yeah, is it the 3:25 game Sunday, right, against the Bengals?
It wasn't flexed out of it to a more boring time spot. I don't know.
No, that's what happens when you play the Broncos.
That's what happens when the Broncos play.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Game at Chiefs Bengals.
Yeah, I think it's 3:25 game. So that's the
yeah.
that's the feature game of the afternoon, the standalone game, right? And the AFC, it's not one of the noon. It's not quite prime time like Sunday Night Football, but it's also the national. They'll have that game broadcast pretty much nationwide. And Patrick Mahomes likes the spotlight. New dad, he's probably, he's got to be on cloud nine. He's leading the MVP race. He's got his son just born. Team's 10-2. All the haters that were saying that he wasn't going to be shit without Tyreek and all this other stuff. He's leading the league in passing touchdowns, leading the league in passing yards, leading the league in this, leading the league in that.
He's on pace to break the passing yard record.
Yeah, he's on pace to set some records. So life is good for Patrick. I have a feeling this is like one of those over my dead body games for him as well after the way they lost to this team twice last year. None worse than at home with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line after you had them beat, basically. So a little extra motivation, and we all know what that does to number 15. He doesn't need any extra motivation, but he gets it. He's pretty much unbeatable. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here? Got everything pretty much covered here?
Yeah, no, man, I'm good.
Just kick the Bengals' ass, that's all.
Yeah, looking forward to that. We appreciate everybody who joined in. Congratulations again, John C. Make sure you send us an email, man, so I can get in touch with you, get your address. I want to get that shipped out here this week.
If not, I'm taking it all, my man.
Right,
I'm taking every bit of it.
Right, I'll get by the UPS store. So if you haven't clicked like yet, we appreciate that. We get a bunch of views, but not as many likes, and starting to hurt my feelings and give me a little bit of a complex. So
hit that like button for Scott's ego, please.
Yeah, I need it. I really do. Please. I'm not going to beg, but please click like. Appreciate the subs. Follow us on all our social media platforms. We're going to work up another giveaway here at some point. So,
Oof. Not going to read that one out loud, but that was good.
I think we found Channel 5's burner account. I thought that was my guy Brian, but I think that's Angie Riccono's burner account. The slander about Tyreek Hill, it was amazing to me after it turned out that was all a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of BS. So, missed the cheetah, definitely. But we don't miss you because you're all here joining the show. It's good to see you, John C., John V., Laney.
Thank you,
Big
everybody.
Bry, our guy Tom. Really do appreciate everybody who supports us and watches the show. We have a lot of fun. The comments have made it this season, right? Last year, we were lucky to get maybe a comment or two during the show, and it just makes it so much more fun and so much more easier to go through here, and I really enjoy everybody's takes. Got a lot of Chiefs Kingdom in here, really knows their football, so we're working that next giveaway up here, and it'll be something to do. Appreciate that, John. There's a lot of them out there, so we certainly appreciate that, and Chiefs, Bengals with a chance to go 10-2 and really separate and put this thing on cruise control to the 1 seed in the AFC. Thanks again, everybody who joined us. Follow us on social media. Click like, click subscribe. Until next week, let's go Chiefs.
All right, let's go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. I'm way behind on this, so I was reading comments. Guys, have a great night.
Wait.
God damn, our chat's funny.